All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to dive into a concept, an idea that's become almost unspeakable in modern life, and yet it's shaped Western thought for centuries. So we're asking the big question, whatever happened to sin?
I mean, seriously, think about it. Why does that word, sin, feel so awkward today? So loaded? It's a question that actually points to this massive intellectual shift. And in this explainer, we're going to trace exactly how this once central concept pretty much vanished from our public vocabulary.
So first things first, we're going to start with right now, today, and look at why this really powerful idea has basically become a modern taboo. And this isn't just some casual observation, The theologian Wolfhart Pannenberg points out that the whole concept of sin has been uniquely obscured for us. Think about that. It's not just that we don't agree with it anymore. It's that we can barely even see it clearly. It's almost like a mystery we have to solve first.
Yeah, and this problem isn't just stuck in the theology books. The source material we're looking at highlights what it calls an emotional taboo around the word in our secular world. You know what that means. It's all tangled up with these heavy feelings of guilt and oppression and judgment. So to really get what happened, we've got to rewind. We have to go back in time.
Okay, so let's dig into what you could call the Great Unraveling. This wasn't a quick thing. We're talking about a centuries-long process where this really foundational idea was just slowly, methodically taken apart piece by piece.
Like I said, this did not happen overnight. It was this slow, gradual decay. It really kicks off back in the 16th century when you have groups starting to reject the whole idea of original sin, the notion that all of us share in some kind of fallen condition. They just found it offensive. Then you jump to the 18th century Enlightenment, and the idea is getting hammered on grounds of reason and justice. And by the time we hit the 19th century, whoa, the focus has completely shifted. We're no longer talking about a universal state. Now, it's all about individual, personal, countable acts of sin.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the core objection, this new focus on individual reason, on personal responsibility. Well, it made the whole idea of inherited guilt seem completely, fundamentally unfair. I mean, think about it. How could a just God possibly hold you accountable for something a super distant ancestor did? That one question, it was like a powerful asset that just helped dissolve the entire old doctrine.
So this whole historical shift led to this really profound change in the concept itself. And honestly, it kind of boils down to a single letter, the difference between sin and sins. Okay, this is the crucial distinction right here. The classic view saw sin, singular, as a deep condition. It's the root of the problem, the soil from which all the specific bad actions grow. But the modern view, it sees sins, plural. It's just a list of individual actions. It's a laundry list of wrongdoings. So the problem went from being about a shared human condition to being about a personal moral scorecard.
And this shift had a huge consequence. I mean, once you boil sin down to just a checklist of bad deeds, well, it becomes a whole lot easier to start judging the moral failures of other people, right? The source we're using actually calls this a kind of Christian Phariseeism, basically a type of moral scorekeeping that was the absolute opposite of what the original idea was trying to get at. So to really, truly get a handle on what was lost in this translation, we have to go way back to one of the most influential thinkers ever on this subject, Augustine. His psychological insight is what really gets to the beating heart of the original concept.
Okay, Augustine's key term here is a bit of a mouthful. Concupiscence. I know, it's a weird word, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple and really profound. It doesn't just mean desire. It means a perverted or a disordered desire. It's that tendency that, well, all of us have to get our priorities all mixed up, to love lesser things more than we love the highest, most important things.
So here's how he breaks it all down. Step 1, our will gets twisted. It just starts valuing things the wrong way. Step 2, we take these lesser worldly goods, stuff like money, power, reputation, and we put them above the ultimate good. So what's the engine driving this whole messed up process? For Augustine, it all comes down to one thing: pride. That deep-seated desire to put the self at the absolute center of everything.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? For Augustine, sin isn't fundamentally about breaking a rule on a list. It's about this deep internal orientation of the self. It's the will basically declaring, I am the most important thing in the universe. It's trying to put itself in the place of God. It is, at its core, a corruption of desire itself.
Now you might be thinking, okay,
This is some pretty ancient theology. But what is so fascinating is how this exact same idea echoes centuries later in the work of one of the Enlightenment's greatest philosophers, Immanuel Kant.
Kant talked about something he called radical evil. And just listen to how he defines it. He says it's a perversion in the way we rank our motivations. It's the basic human tendency to put our own self-love, our own desire for happiness, ahead of the moral law, which he thought should always come first. Sound a little familiar?
It's incredible, right? The source material points out that these two ideas are structurally analogous. You have Augustine, the ancient theologian, and Kant, the modern secular philosopher, and they both saw the root of evil in the same way. It wasn't some monster lurking outside. No, it was something deep inside of us, a fundamental, internal twisting of our will and our priorities.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to right now. We've seen how this really deep concept of a shared human problem got flattened out, turned into just a list of individual mistakes. But why does any of this intellectual history actually matter for us today?
Listen to this quote because it's incredibly sharp. We are all so aware of the evil in the world, right? We see it all the time. But because we've kind of lost this sense that it's a shared human problem, what's our default move? We locate it somewhere else. We blame other people, we blame other groups, or we blame these big anonymous things like the system. The problem is always out there, never in here.
And this brings us to what might be the most surprising takeaway from all of this. That old, forgotten doctrine of universal sin, it actually had what the text calls an anti-moralistic function. That's a fancy way of saying that because it insisted that everyone was in the same boat, that everyone shared this condition, it made it impossible to get up on your high horse. It forced a kind of solidarity with all people. And it was a powerful antidote to that easy hypocrisy of just pointing fingers and saying, evil is only what those other people do.
And so that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question to chew on. In losing this old idea of sin as a universal human condition, have we also lost a really important tool for self-reflection? If evil isn't a shared problem that involves every single one of us, then is it just destined to always be somebody else's fault? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.